Now, Eyewitness Sports.
Welcome into WPRI OOT, a normal edition, a non-Patriots edition. We'll talk about the Patriots, but our first one post-mortem. Just kidding.
We're back on that podcast life.
Back on the podcast life. We're back on iTunes. Download.
And Google Play.
And Google. Are we really?
There's Google
Yeah,
Play.
shout out to Lee Dooley. Are you a non-iPhone guy?
No, I'm an iPhone guy, but I can still use Google Play.
So
I had an Android.
Got it. All right.
Back in the
all
day,
right.
yeah.
Okay. Love
So
it.
for your drive into work, our weekly podcast.
Yeah.
All right.
Listen to it. Our voices can calm you on your lovely drives. Okay, so we're going to talk about the Patriots, but not yet. We're going to start with the Celtics because that's really the storyline, in today's sports talk, right? A lot of drama, a lot of losing that we didn't expect. Kind of a broad question here, but what is our second half outlook at this point?
I think they're going to get it together. I do, and it's not really a true second half. We're on to 2/3 of the way of the season. I think the win over Philly was a good, solid win without Kyrie. It comes down to, doesn't it feel like the Celtics play better without Kyrie in the mix? But it's this weird dichotomy because you need him in the playoffs to close out. We saw Game 7 against the Cavs. They had nothing going.
Right.
So I think they're going to work out their roles a little. I think Gordon Hayward played much better the other day. We're going to talk about the drama in a little bit.
Okay.
But I don't necessarily trust Milwaukee, Philadelphia, Toronto to dethrone them, so to speak, with Cleveland out of the picture. So even if they are the 3-4 seed and sort of have to go on the road in the Eastern Conference semis or finals, I think they get it together to an extent where come playoff time, Kyrie as the closer, they'll be just fine.
Yeah, I think they're going to be just fine. I think this season has kind of been similar to the Patriots season and that storyline, kind of how some early season losses, some struggles, some injuries, some drama. Even though Patriots maybe was a little less drama, but they have a big bounce back win against Philadelphia the other night on the road after 2 tough losses. And I think Brad Stevens maximizes your B, C, D, and E options better than the other coaches around the league.
Yeah, it is funny how in the playoffs last year they didn't have Kyrie, and they were awesome. So you kind of wonder, but then of course you have that Game 7 where you're like, I wish we had Kyrie. So you kind of see these other guys step up into these roles and fill these roles without Kyrie. But you have this dichotomy, if you will, of do we want Kyrie, do we not? So I think they get it together. I think there's still a lot of time left, but they're going to make the playoffs, and then you let them.
NBA can be a flip the switch league too. We've seen that with LeBron over the course of years. I do think the Garden plays a big advantage for them. So the higher the seed, the better. The fewer road games they can play because they went 7 with Milwaukee last year. What did Philly just went 6 maybe?
Philly went
5. Was it just 5? Philly or 6
with the Celtics?
Yeah, last
6.
year.
6, yeah.
So the more home games, the better. But
yeah. Also, Indiana's going to fall off. I mean, they've played well without Victor Oladipo, but they're going to fall off. So, yeah, Celtics can finish in that.
It's exciting. The East, I think, is open.
Yeah.
It's pretty open.
Big time.
It's awesome. All right, so more focused in on this guy, Kyrie. Does he stay? That's obviously a question with his back and forth, the organization's kind of back and forth, the rumors. Who does he want to play with? Is he going to New York? Is he going to LeBron? What's going on?
I think he stays. I wish he just shut his mouth 2 weeks ago and didn't say that, my options are still open. Because he went in front of all the season ticket holders and said, I want to be a Celtic for life. Everyone's like, all right, we're all in on Kyrie. And then, he's the person who, when you tweet or social media something when you shouldn't in the spur of the moment.
Just a knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah, knee-jerk reaction.
Yeah.
And it was like, if he just shut his mouth, it wouldn't have been an issue in conjunction with the whole Anthony Davis stuff. Or is Durant, are they all going to the Knicks?
Right.
Like we were saying before, you can't win in the NBA without an alpha dog closer. As great as of a story the Celtics were last year, you just can't win a championship. So imagine going against Golden State without someone who can go shot for shot with Durant or Curry. So they need him. I think he will stay. This was a difficult situation. We all just thought they would add him back in Gordon Hayward and just get to the finals, but you forget people's roles change. All these guys have egos. They've always been the best player on their respective teams. So it's been a huge challenge for Brad Stevens, who up until this point hadn't had to deal with a lot of things that NBA coaches have to deal with in terms of egos. I think he's he has a pretty big ego. We know he's into movies. He's into being in New York is probably better for his brand. But at the end of the day, I think he makes a basketball decision and he stays. As for Anthony Davis, do you think he's coming here? He may seem like he doesn't want to.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the way that Danny Ainge put it, that they're engaged right now, the Celtics and Irving, and they're not married. I think that marriage is going to take place July 1st when free agency starts. If Anthony Davis is going to come, I don't know. I think it'd be a good fit with Al Horford kind of toward the back end of his career. Obviously, he can still have nights and be disruptive on the defensive end and still be a really good offensive piece like he was against Joel Embiid in Philadelphia on Tuesday.
Are you willing to give up Tatum for Anthony Davis?
Yes, 100%.
Sure.
Yeah,
I think it's right.
Because if you look at the other teams in the East, the Sixers gave up a Markelle Fultz, to win in the here and the now. The championship window is now.
Yeah.
And back to another point about if Kyrie's going to stay, Brad Stevens, you could squeeze out Butler players to get to a national championship at the collegiate level. You can't do that in the NBA. You need Kyrie to stay. You need Gordon Hayward to stay. Gordon Hayward's played great on another side point. Gordon Hayward's been awesome the last couple weeks. He's really kind of found himself. And I like Marcus Morris's comment. So I think Kyrie stays. I think the team's woken up, and they've got 25 games to put it together before a finals run.
I don't love this whole lack of leadership struggle storyline with Kyrie. I should be this leader, but we need other guys that are veterans, longer veterans to be leaders. I don't love the way he's kind of been outspoken about it. I think it's just kind of like, again, shut your mouth and go deal with your team.
Right.
And the whole, I call it LeBron to apologize because I didn't know what he was going through. I just felt like that was an unnecessary. That was just to stir the pot, and we don't need
your ex-girlfriend issues dealing with us.
And I want to be clear, because I like the fact that he came to that realization internally and called LeBron and said, "Hey, man, we had a great run together, and I owe a lot of that to you and your leadership, and I didn't realize how hard it was." But why are you coming out and telling the media so that all your guys hear that you didn't realize what it was like to manage all these young guys?
Yeah.
You're 24. How old is he? 24. You're young too, Kyrie. So you still have a lot of growing up to do. But yes, he is supposed to be the best player on this team. So you need to have that sort of leadership. But the mouth needs to.
Right. It's tough from a leadership perspective because it should be your best player, but don't you wish Al Horford, who's the nicest guy going, was just sort of the leader? And I think he's a quiet leader, but generally speaking, you take on the personality of your best player. And I do think Tatum and Brown, mostly Brown, sort of feel lost in the mix there. Because Gordon Hayward and Morris are taking away minutes from Brown, and he was key last year, and maybe he thought this was the year he would make the jump. So good issues to have, though.
Right.
A supplement of talent. So
no one really saw these issues coming because they were so stacked. But you forget, you have to figure out how they all mesh.
Let me say something quickly about the NBA, though. I'm not into this whole melodrama of where's everyone going every 2 years.
Right.
I just want when I was growing up, Jordan was on the Bulls, Patrick Ewing was on the Knicks, Charles Barkley was on the Suns, and it was just that's the way it was. I hate everyone moving every couple of years. So if you're a fan, you appreciate a run. And as a Celtic fan, I felt like the Garnett-Pierce era was almost too short, and they won one championship, but it was really 08 through 12. It was 5 seasons. So it's Durant is already thinking about leaving the Warriors, and it's they're fine probably without him, but I don't know.
It does seem like there's a lack of this, I want to be a Celtic for life. There's no one that's has that pride in an organization. They just want to go play with as many different dudes as they can and see how good they can be in this system. And I just, it's more of a players' league than it is an organization.
Definitely.
It starts in middle school. They go AAU ball all over the place. They're getting driven around. They want to play with their best friends. College ball, no loyalty whatsoever. You want to go to a school that gets you to the NBA as quickly as possible, and then you want to find success right off the bat. So, they're just jumping around and want to play with their best friends.
So much gossip and everything else.
Everyone's
sensitive. It's just
it feels like every day is what drama, what Kardashian story are we going to hear today? It just feels like
it's sort of the opposite. Take out the Steelers, it's sort of the opposite of the NFL.
Yeah, the Steelers just call themselves
Aaron Rodgers plays in Green Bay, Wisconsin, for crying out. There were markets, people playing Buffalo, where it's just that's where you are. Right. It doesn't matter.
Aaron Rodgers was a little dramatic this year, though. That was a little bit of a bad example. Okay, speaking of football, let's go to the Patriots. Oh, just kidding. We're going to go to the Red Sox, which is, I skipped my note sheet. So we're in spring training.
Pitchers and catchers
I'm really
are back.
excited. I like get the chills thinking about
The chills, like literally
like
your body
summer.
gets chills.
Like I just like kind of got butterflies with thinking about baseball, summertime. Love it. Okay, Fenway. Okay, can the Red Sox repeat back-to-back world champs?
I'll start. I mean, yes.
Okay.
I think
Sorry,
the short
I've
and
been
sweet
neglecting
of it
you
is that they can. They have a lot of issues to focus on and make sure that they kind of hone in on before the regular season starts, and I think it starts with the closer position.
Right.
I am a huge Craig Kimbrell fan. Let me
You
get that
love
out there.
Craig
I love Craig
Kimbrell.
Kimbrell.
I don't love him.
I'm a big.
You don't love it.
Him and Gostkowski.
I'm a big Craig Kimbrell fan. He's one of the top 5 closers in the last 30 or 40 years in baseball. So statistics-wise, and he got the job
gives
done
you
in the
a heart
playoffs.
attack.
He gives you a heart attack. He gives you exactly, just like SG3 does.
You love SG3.
So, and I love SG3 and Ryan Allen, the punter for the Patriots. So
Big special teams guy.
I don't know if you can plug the closer hole with who they have, and I know Dombrowski keeps saying that you can
Right.
plug it with Brazier, you can plug it with Matt Barnes or whoever they have. I don't know if they can necessarily do that. But if they can find somebody, sure, then I think they're fine. Their offense and their defense on a day-to-day basis, I think, is fine. The second base, story is another big storyline to kind of follow going through. Dave Dombrowski said he could play 120 games this year after coming off of microfractures and knee injuries. I think that's a pretty big, bold statement to me. I think if you get between 80 and 100 games out of Pedroia at second, and Brock Holt obviously stepped up in the playoffs. Eduardo Nunez can shift over from third. Sue Lin, they love Sue Lin.
I'm a big Brock Holt girl.
The Brock star.
Well, I
like
really
Brock.
just like his
His
kid,
son,
Griffin.
Yeah.
I'm obsessed.
I am not banking on any sort of Dustin Pedroia production. Anything he gives me is an added bonus. He wasn't really part of the deal last year, and I'm
Right.
grateful for his 2008 MVP and his 2 World Series
Pay him to be
prior
a
to
coach
this year.
at this point. Put him on the coaching staff.
I'm not into the closer scene. I think the Red Sox saw what they did in the playoffs, which was let's put starters in this new trend in baseball in the relief role. So I feel like they think we're good enough to get to the playoffs, and then we'll go that route again. But what if you just continuously lose games via your bullpen? They went into the 2013 season this way, and out of nowhere, Koji Uehara came about out of nowhere as their closer and was great. So do they get lucky like that again? I don't know. I feel warm and fuzzy about handing the ball to someone I trust in the ninth, which during the regular season, Craig Kimbrell, I trusted. It got a little dicey in the playoffs. So, but that's their biggest question. I mean, last year, we didn't know what we were getting at a Price. Porcello was coming off a bad year. They were managing Sale's arm in innings early on. So you feel much better about with Nathan Eovaldi in the rotation now. About the rotation, you have Stephen Wright back as a knuckleballer, and you have Eddie Rodriguez. So they have 6 serviceable starters. And I think the bullpen is good. It's just that closer role. So if they can figure that out, and maybe they just sort of use Band-Aids until the deadline, and maybe they get a big arm then. So I think they're in a position where they can take this chance, obviously coming off a 108-win team. But if they did this time last year, I wouldn't be feeling great about it.
I am interested to see what happens with this Brian Brazier storyline, and if he's able to maybe, he kind of came out of nowhere, and he was phenomenal for the Red Sox when they needed him most. But I think it's interesting to see. I don't know if Craig Kimbrell, if they're willing to spend the money, clearly, that he's desiring. So if they don't, I don't hate your prediction of what they could do is use Band-Aids, kind of make it however they can, closer by committee. Yeah. I don't love this I like the idea of having a bullpen, have a bullpen for the playoffs that's scary and lights out, and don't just bring in Nathan Eovaldi to pitch 18 innings or whatever. So I think it's interesting. I think that obviously the bullpen is the big storyline, but can they repeat?
That was the question.
That was the repeat. We
they can.
Why not?
Well,
I mean,
no
their
one's done it
backs
since
are
the
back.
99 and 2000 Yankees.
Right. What I will say about this group, and I think it's what helped them be so successful last year, was that there was no clubhouse issues. They all loved each other. They love Cora.
They even like David Price.
They
He's pretty
love
unlikable.
David Price. And how funny is that David Price is just not a storyline right now? It's awesome.
He had a new number today per their Twitter account. I don't know what that was about.
But I just think that the Alex Cora hire is something. I mean,
Great.
Clearly they had a historic season last year. Why not make history again?
Yeah, they can absolutely win. He rallied off the teams that people say they haven't repeated, but he mentioned the Dodgers went back-to-back years. Houston had 2 great years in a row. San Francisco pretty much won every other year for a period of time. So there's teams that are back in the mix. Maybe they don't complete the back-to-back championships, but yeah, they'll be in the mix right there with Houston. I don't know who else in the AL. The Yankees, obviously. It'll be the Yankees, Houston, and Boston who will be there. But I think the AL, coming out of the AL, is tougher than whatever the NL brings with the Brewers or Dodgers.
Right.
There's also going to be
Cardinals.
nights when they score 10, 12 runs.
Yeah.
I mean, think about their lineup. I mean, if JBJ
is.
can hit like he hit in the playoffs with Benintendi and Betts and Martinez and
now
Bogarts
Holt
and Holt.
coming in.
And didn't they say
and
Mookie's
Raff.
going to the 2-hole
Yeah,
in the
Mookie's
offseason?
Benintendi's going to lead off.
Yeah.
Which I think it makes sense. This is an analytics thing, right? Like, it makes sense to get on base and then have Mookie hit it out or, hit a triple
The
or
new
double.
trend is your number 2 hitter is your best hitter because Mookie Betts had so many home runs with no one on base last year.
Right.
So the idea is if someone is on base.
Benny Biceps. I'm a fan of it. I like him as, I like this group. I just like
It's a good group.
It's a great group.
And they got
They're
some
lovable.
contracts to address. Mookie's going to be up and
Mookie getting
Sale
those
and-
big bucks.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, now we'll go to the Patriots. Do you miss them yet?
a little bit.
I still like hearing
it on
Super Bowl.
sports-
Yeah, I still
sports
like
radio.
hearing the Super Bowl talk.
Yeah.
I still like talking about the game.
I tell you what, this how I feel today versus last year. Coming off a
If they
Super
would've
Bowl
lost-
loss, and oh my God, the narrative is so different.
Especially after our week in negative 12-degree wind chill.
Yeah.
That was pretty brutal. This one was a very different week for us, and we are eternally grateful. Okay, so for the Pats, a lot of off-season storylines. Luckily, all football related, right?
Yeah.
No, I mean, obviously, maybe we have the Gronkowski potential retirement, but what's the storyline in terms of contracts and free agents and?
I think it is Gronk's decision.
Of course.
Which he said after the Super Bowl would be a week or two, so maybe it comes sooner than later. But the Patriots need to decide. I don't think they're willing to pay him what he's making this year. Is he willing to play for less? Is he willing to play at all? And if he wants to play, is he willing to go elsewhere? So those, I guess, are three questions.
Well,
and I don't know. I think Gronk's retiring. But if he's coming back, maybe he can come back at a figure that the Patriots will do.
Well,
but I think they need his replacement if they don't. So they're going to have to draft a tight end. And obviously, the only person who's contracted as a pass catcher is Julian Edelman. So all his weapons in terms of receivers, tight end are going to be different next year.
Well, I think if Gronk decides to play, that's under the understanding that you've got to take less money because he almost got traded and said, I'm not playing for anyone else. So he wants to be a Patriot. If he decides to play, he wants to be a Patriot. Tony, chaos over there.
But even that incentive deal he get last year, he didn't reach those. So I don't think they're going to do that again.
Right. It's just going to have to be, we got to knock you down a little bit. So if he wants to play, if you want to be a Patriot, then you got to take less money. But regardless, you have to figure out what you're doing at tight end because we saw Gronk as not being the pass-catching tight end that we are used to. So you have to figure out a way to get somebody open.
Yeah, I agree that it's Rob Gronkowski. I think the Patriots can conform to something that helps him out in the offseason. I think that he can miss OTAs. I think he can maybe get to training camp, not super early. I think maybe he can take a couple weeks off here and there. I think if something is nagging, he can take a week off against the Jets, or he can take the week off, in Buffalo. And if you give him 4 weeks off during the season plus the bye, that's a third of the season. And then December ramp it up, and then he's blocking like a maniac come the playoffs, and then you're opening it up for him in the pass game.
I'm so down with that.
in
I'm
January.
so down with
But
that.
how do they get that
Does
message
Bill allow
out?
it? Like,
Right.
does Bill allow?
So
Make
someone
those-
on radio today was saying Mark Bavaro, who is the Giants tight end when Belichick was there, sort of was on a pitch count in his career. But how do they portray that to us in the media? Hey, Gronk is a healthy scratch this week, or is he on the
Right.
injury report and then he's not playing, or do they sort of hide it, or are they transparent with it all? That would be the interesting thing.
Right.
It's sort of like Greg Popovich. If you were just like DNP for no reason.
Exactly.
Gronk.
We're in Atlanta tonight. Yeah.
If they could work out a way where he plays 8 to 12 games, but all of them at the end, I'd be good with that.
I will say, did you guys watch him on Jimmy Fallon?
Yeah.
He was great. He was so candid with Jimmy, and he was making jokes about beers and footballs getting thrown at his head during the parade, and he was like, yeah, we were duking them, like trying to prepare for next season. And he like made that kind of comment, which I thought was interesting. And then Jimmy Fallon asked him, you haven't made a decision yet, and he's like, yeah, it's so emotional after the game. You have to make sure that your head is in the right place before you make a life-altering decision like that. But he just seemed in good spirits. Like he was happy. Of course, he won the Super Bowl, but he loves football still. There's no question about that. But he did say something else that stood out to me in that interview. He talked about that he was supposed to go to Jimmy Fallon Monday after the Super Bowl, and he was so hurt and so sore he couldn't get there.
I guess
it was that hit that took him out.
Right.
We were a little concerned about his back. Remember, he felt kind of weird.
Yeah,
the trainers checked him out.
His quad, right, was inflamed.
It was his quad. He said he was so sore he couldn't walk. So those are things to like this guy is getting banged up, and he is one injury away from not just ruining his career but his life. So to a certain point, let's think about our bodies here. But I will say he seemed like he loves football, loves the game. My take leading into the Super Bowl was that if they win, I could see Tom going to Gronk and be like, come on, man, give me one more year. Let's just play one. Let's win one more together. It just kind of seems like they have that kind of relationship.
Yep.
And I kind of just think Gronk would buy into it.
He's a young man. He played 9 seasons. He's 29 years old. He's
29.
young.
And Tom loves him. The team loves him. Bill loves him.
It can be a Chris Sale situation.
I think Bill loves him. I think Bill loves him.
As a person, yeah, but they've had some contentious contract talks and stuff between the Gronkowskis and the Patriots. So when he showed up with the Monster Energy thing, you think Bill liked him that day? That's probably right when he called Detroit and said, hey, Gronk's available right now. I have some others I want to get to.
Okay, Trey Flowers.
Left, Trey Flowers, obviously. Left tackle.
Trent Brown's
probably gone. We'll see if Isaiah.
Bring Trent back.
We'll see if Isaiah Wynn can be plugged in there. He's undersized. I don't know. You go from a guy who's 6'9" to Isaiah Wynn, who's
Trent Brown, maybe most underrated
6'3".
player of the season. I mean, the offensive line got a ton of credit. But
I think they have 6 picks in the first 3 rounds. I want to see them draft well and stay there, not move back, and get 6 foundational players to restock your system, because the Patriots don't have a good young core because they've missed draft picks via trades and deflategate penalties and so forth. Michelle was a hit, obviously, last year. If Wynn can be a hit and you have a good draft this year, you need to sort of bring the foundation up because good NFL teams, the Patriots are getting older. You need that young core.
Yeah.
Yeah,
big
I
draft.
agree.
I mean, every year is a big draft for every team, but
you look at Julian Edelman. That's your other big weapon. He's getting old. He's 32.
I think his last year.
Last year on his contract. He's getting older. Came back from an ACL. Luckily, was himself just in time for the playoffs.
Yeah, he had the dropsies last year. He wasn't that great in the regular season.
No, he made those unbelievable. I mean, here's your Super Bowl MVP we're talking about. But I think you need to have those core young players that can learn the system while the old guys are there.
Right.
Learn it under their leadership, their guidance with Tom, and build the foundation of the next dynasty.
An additional dynasty, or the same one we're in?
So you say Trent Brown, yes.
Trent Brown, yeah, you got to sign him.
He's going to get more money somewhere else.
But, right. I want him so. I want
the
him to
Patriots do these 1-year deals. The guys stay for a year and they leave. It happened with Chris Long, and it happened the guys come here, they improve their stock. It's a great business decision.
Do you wonder what Tom says? Keep Trent for me.
I'm sure he does. That has never worked in the past.
Right.
He probably said, keep Deion Branch for me, keep Wes Welker for me, keep that.
Yeah.
I think they can plug somebody in those holes, in the wide receiver holes, and you can get away with it instead of left tackle.
Lucky. I remember asking Dante Scarnecchia at the Super Bowl, were you worried if Trent Brown didn't work out?
This is great.
And he's like, you were playing left tackle if Trent Brown didn't work out.
Imagine
what their season would have been.
Get ready.
Jesus.
Suit up.
They really got lucky on that one.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Last one.
Ooh.
You act like
college hoop.
You're like, what's next?
You
just didn't produce this 2 seconds ago.
All right, so I have all the teams on there.
Squads.
Yeah, love the Rhode Island hoop scene. Now we get to really zone in on it because Super Bowl, Patriots over. March quickly approaching. Best time of the year.
It's mid-February, taping this on a Wednesday evening.
Taping this on a Wednesday. You are PC currently at Villanova. Do we know where's intern?
They're down 4 right now.
Down 4 with how much time?
I don't know.
Janae!
Our
intern. What's our update?
Oh, down 10. We're
Down
gonna
10.
how much time is left?
How much time's left?
5 minutes.
All right,
5
we're gonna
minutes,
for the
all
point
right.
of this discussion, we're gonna call it a loss.
We're gonna, yeah. Well, okay. That's a little risky. I'm more optimistic than that, and I take pride in that. But I'll go with it.
Well, it's hard to. Let me jump in to have a opinion on PC based on tonight. If
Correct.
they win, that's a top 25 win.
Right.
That's a win they need.
On
If
the
they
road.
lose, they drop to 4-8.
4-8.
So they may have to win out. They may have to go 6-0 the rest of the way and then get to the final. The issue with the Big East this year is, other than Marquette and Villanova, you don't have these opportunities to get great wins. There's been years where they've had 4 or 5 teams in the top 25. So to answer your question,
Does anyone make the
I
tournament?
hate
is
to
the
be a
question.
negative Nancy, but I'm saying no. I think PC or URI would have to win their conference tournament, which either team could.
It feels like both. Right. It feels like both.
Both could.
Conferences are
URI
wide
has
open.
been way too inconsistent all year. I just don't trust them to win 3 or 4 consecutive games in a
Right.
tournament setting. They may look great one day and look terrible the next. I mean, they were awful against Dayton. They'll probably look good against the lowly Fordham Rams Saturday. Brown has looked good at times. Brown and Bryant, I mean, they're all in the same boat, I guess. If they win their conference tournament, they get in. But none of them will get any at-large consideration unless PC runs the table.
I'm happy for the Bryant Bulldogs to be my optimistic self. I think this Jared
Yeah.
Grass Ohio was phenomenal, and they're playing his style. It seems like his guys are really bought in. So I'm excited to see where that program goes the next couple of years. URI, PC, gotta
Are they going to make the tournament?
put me on the spot.
Well, that's the question, Ruthie.
I know, but I'm the asker.
You like to simmer.
I like to dance
She
around.
likes to dance and simmer until it's
I want
money
them
time.
to because I want to go. No, I want them to because I think one of them does. I don't know which one.
Ooh,
I'm going to say one
okay.
team makes the tournament. I would like to lean toward PC, just because I think they're going to come back 10 points down from Villanova right now, and have a good win under their belt, and then they're going to make a deep run. I mean, no one expected PC to make that kind of run in the conference tournament last year, in the Big East tournament.
Right.
So
They got to the finals.
they got to the finals, lost to the eventual national champion. So I would love to see them. I would love to see
They
PC
play
go
great
there.
at the Garden too.
Yes.
PC
They
plays
do,
great
but-
at the
I
Garden.
was
Yeah.
just about to say they beat St. John. Echoes 14-5 their lifetime. I mean, something about the Garden.
Yeah,
he
he
says it
loves
too.
it.
Yeah,
He loves it.
he
He's a
knows that.
showman. He likes the big
He said the
stage.
guys walk in and they think they're LeBron. That's what he said. That was his word for word. They think they're LeBron.
Also, there was a couple years ago, I was talking to JP about this, where they were not in this dire of a situation, but they put it together, winning 5 of 6 down the stretch or something
Yeah.
and sneaking in. I don't know if this team has it in them. The issue is just the quality of the resume improving. There just aren't that many
Yeah.
opportunities.
They had a
Right.
bad one to UMass. They blew a 20-point lead at home. You can't get swept by Georgetown. You got to probably sweep DePaul. I mean, if they lose to Villanova, you have to beat Marquette, or else they will not have a one top 25 win all year. The Big
Yeah.
East isn't
Yeah.
that strong. Their out of conference wasn't great. Texas maybe is their best win out of conference. I think PC goes to the NIT. URI, I don't know. I mean, I guess the overarching theme is you can't play on that first day, right? You can't
Right.
ask
Right.
PC to go win
Conference
4-4. You can't ask URI to win 5-5. If you get caught in the bottom tier of the conference, then it's tough. You can catch lightning in a bottle for 3 days.
Right.
Either one of the teams can win the conference tournament. URI has the guard play, and guards in college basketball dominate. They also have one really good big man in Cyril Langevin. Bryant Brown, that's up in the air. The lower conferences, I think, talent level,
Yeah.
anybody can be good on any
rooting for
given
the
The
day.
thing
Bears,
about
baby.
URI, I don't fear anyone in the A10.
Right.
Do you know what I mean? But what you're saying is true, is just, and what I mentioned before about the inconsistency is just playing 3 good games in a row.
Right.
We haven't seen
Right.
that really from URI.
True.
They had a little, late January, had a little run of
True.
doing that, but
But I mean, I will say, the talent on this year's Providence team, in my opinion, is better than last year's. I think they just have to figure out how to play together, and they're so young that defense has obviously been an issue this year.
Experience.
they missed Cartwright's leadership as a point guard, and
Yeah. I just.
like that possession against Villanova at the home game where Mackay has the ball for 25 seconds and they don't know what to do with
Right,
it. That
right.
can't happen.
Right. Right.
If we look across the board, how many seniors are graduating from all 4 teams combined? That's probably if you want to look at
Yeah.
a glass half full.
Yeah. What did I see from Bill Koch the other day? URI is the worst shooting 3-point team in the country.
Yes, they
that's
are the worst.
absurd.
And it's not close.
They're
It's like
19%.
26.8 or something, and the next one's at like 28%. Like they're not like within a tenth of a
Wow.
percentage, 100th of a percent. It's not close.
Wow. Which
Yeah.
is God, stark contrast to last year's Rhode Island team. All right.
So,
anything else?
But they're all competitive, which is good.
They're all competitive. Right. Bright futures for all four of these programs.
And Davidson won the A10 last year. No one predicted that, so you never know.
Right.
I'm just saying 0 teams get in this year.
Same.
You're saying
I'm
one,
saying
but
one.
you're not saying who.
I think Providence.
All right.
Okay.
This is my.
We'll find a way.
That's going to do it for this edition of WPRI OOT. Catch us online on a podcast. We're back on that Apple.
Let's see if you can get out of the show.
That Apple Music
nicely.
life. I don't know how to sign out of a show, so that's going to do it, everyone.
There you go.